So this is gonna be a slightly
Okay, so we got Johnkkez at the bottom of your screen, and we got the Boxer at the top. The Boxer just took a mulligan. They're looking at 7 right now. The Boxer's going to be on the play. They're taking a look at 3 power, Accelerated Evolution, Mavelost Huntress, Primal Etchings, and a Petition. So an okay hand, but the Elysian Spells deck is really an engine deck. It has multiple different engines, and this doesn't have any engine pieces, which is probably fine. They have enough interaction, but I think you're going to take a slight pause there and see if there's think about that hand, but I don't think there's any chance of throwing it back, and we will see a keep there for the Boxer.
slower start here from Johnkkez, not having a 2-drop to play, but I don't think they worry about that too much in this deck.
Yeah, I think that's okay. Well, hey, what did you say? You called it. You wanted a 2-drop? Well, here comes a Hojin for Johnkkez. We'll see if they wait to protect that. I don't think they will. I think they'll just play it out. Well, maybe not. I mean, it doesn't look great in the face of a 1-3. So we'll have to see how Johnkkez sequences here. One of those things with this Kira deck is just how important sequencing is. It's really tough. It's not a deck that you can just pull up and play right off the bat. So sequencing is really important. But John is just going to go ahead and play that. I think that makes sense. It's a little tough putting it out there with no protection in the face of a 1-3, but you also just don't want to be passing turn, not doing anything on your first 2 turns. That's a good way to fall behind.
Yeah, the fact that they have 2 additional 3-drops in their hand to include the Conclave that wants you to attack first to trigger that Face Aegis gave them a little more incentive to play it. An option they did have is potentially to play it on turn 3 and then snowball it to ramp, but right now this hand doesn't really necessarily need to ramp. We're seeing the Huntress come down and take out the Hojin. Of course, Gerald being perfectly fine, stunned. He still will climb the ascension and get the value once they get up there. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, Drawl, great card. You could give the stats, but it still gets the bonuses. You might not be able to attack with it as long as you have that Huntress out, but it's not even the end of the world. I mean, if you even if you get up to 8 primal and you start getting the triggers off spells, that's perfectly fine as well. Genev Merchant here. See what Boxer's got in his market: Permafrost, Lightning Storm, Mirror Image, Sodi Spell Shaper, and Helio. So we're getting a Spell Shaper here. Yeah, we are. Love the aggressive Spell Shaper. That's a way to get ahead and keep Johnkkez off on the back foot. Being able to get that in. They're actually going to be able to cast that with Spellcraft next.
yeah, it's going to be a very solid turn for Boxers. And like I said, they're starting to slowly apply the pressure. All right. Enforcer, not a bad draw there. I mean, obviously, we know it's going to have issues, but it was at least going to be a way to negate most of the threat of draw, if not all of it. So that is a solid option. We're seeing some of the advantage there going off with the Envoy, obviously playing it and then using the etchings to trigger its draw effect, as well as draw a Justice Sigil, and then going to the market, grabbing Palace.
Good play there, but this is quite a good play here. You gotta love when you're able to aggressively cast that Equivocate. Gonna bounce the unit, gonna put it on an Aegis unit, and start drawing some cards. Of course, it allows the Hoot Envoy to draw an extra card, but the Boxer is very happy to take that trade to get in a bunch of damage, get a tempo play, and draw some cards. And drawing a Hurler there is gonna get a free snowball too, which is nice.
So this isn't a horrible draw, yeah, and we're gonna see the Enforcer end up having to go over to take out the card advantage engine. Sadly, it's still gonna end up dealing damage as both the 3/4s are very solid attackers against this 3/3. Though, I mean, Johnkkez does have an option later in the game to have an explosive turn if they choose to kind of combo the Berserk or the +4/+4 off of the Palace on that the equivocate target, because it will have double damage against a player. So, and it has charge. So there is well, I guess the charge won't matter necessarily because of the way the Palace works with the agenda being at the
Right,
beginning of the turn.
right. As you said, a lot of damage coming through for Boxer. That's gonna be 6 damage, and that 3/3 not great in the face of 2/3/4s. Boxer also with another Merchant in hand, an Equivocate, and a Helio. Do you just drop Helio here and draw 3 cards, you think?
I won't see why not. They're applying plenty of pressure. They could just consider. We've seen Boxer be patient with this deck and succeed. They have. I mean, they are going against a deck that has some more late game application, but I mean, I like more options.
Yeah, I think the other option might be playing out a merchant and then holding up Equivocate. Um, could get rid of that unit, keep Johnkkez from developing a board. The only problem with Equivocate, as we know, is that there's a bubble shield in hand for Johnkkez, which can protect against that if they choose to do that. An interesting decision here for Boxer. That seems to me like the two big options. You know, you're probably playing out Hurler doesn't do anything, and you don't really want to use your snowball here. So they're going to go the Helio route. Draw 3 cards, Equivocate, a Giral, and a Huntress. Those are 3 big hits off the top for Helio.
So I wonder. So they have the option of still bubble shielding here to give themselves the face ages, so they can use the smuggler to grab Bring to Justice,
Mhm.
to be able to remove probably the draw. That way they get 2 birds with 1 stone. But they're gonna go okay, they're just gonna go ahead and silence the draw, which is yeah, that works as well.
So they're going to silence that Giral, just put it down to a 1/3 so that it doesn't get any triggers from future spells or any real value off of the Huntress if the Huntress dies. But again, not the greatest units. These 3/3s do a good job of blocking Helio, but Helio's sort of already got their value at this point.
Yeah, and even so no attack there to get the face Aegis,
This is
which
nice. Look at this. Giral going down, second Giral coming down, although the first one's turned off, but then playing a symbol, getting up to that 8 influence, and then playing double equivocate to bounce 2 units and deal 4 damage to the face.
yeah, and I think oh, this is not quite lethal, but it practically is. Yeah, this is gonna
That's
take John down to 2 with an active draw in play and 4 cards in hand. They do have face Aegis though.
That's not going to be enough. Boxer just doing
Okay.
too much damage. As we saw at the end of round one, Boxer is just putting on a clinic with this deck, able to just do so much damage out of nowhere. And it's really that setup on those engine cards, those Dural cards, being able to set those up and just do tons and tons of damage in one turn. But if you've watched any of these tournaments before, you've heard me say this before. But one of the things I like about that deck too is it can hit you on so many different axes. We've seen now 2 games in a row that Giral axes being able to do tons of damage at once. But even if that stops, sometimes you just get a turn 2, turn 3 Wump and Mizo draw, which you become an aggro deck and you just completely beat down and they can't really do anything about it. And then sometimes you just get a Master Conjurer draw where you just fire up spells and make an army of 4/4s. So it really keeps the opponent off guard and has to try to answer like on so many different axes what you're trying to do.
Yeah, very solid point. And then in the hands of such an accomplished player, they're gonna see the lines they need to take, think multiple turns ahead, count out their draws, and really maximize the options that the deck offers them.
And we do have a really big update here from the other side of the room. Notorious GHP of Team Rankstar defeating Camomilk 2-0. So that is going to even up the score. Team Rankstar, Team Invoke Lethal tied at 2 matches apiece. So 2-2 now. New ball game here, and the Boxer are already up a game here. So things are looking fairly decent here. Good comeback. That was really important to not fall behind 0-3 at that first round.
Yeah, very once again, great players. So we're gonna see a lot of things happening in these scores, I think, too, because the fact that you made this round robin also means that bad deck matchups are not necessarily horrible because everyone's gonna end up playing everyone else. So it's not one of those things where you're trying to dodge your bad matchup and get your good matchup. Everyone's gonna have a fair shot here of taking it down. So it all comes down to good draws and play skill is there across the board.
Good draws, tight play. Absolutely. The Rock, thank you so much for the follow. We appreciate you being here. And thank you, everyone in chat, for being here. Feel free to ask us any questions, leave any feedback. We are all ears. All right. On the other side, Boxer's got a hand of 4 power, a Primal Etchings, a Petition, a Giral Ascending, a Pause for Reflection, and a Genev Merchant. So they do have that Giral in hand as well as Protection with Pause. We'll see if they wait to deploy that out, play like a Petition or something to be able to protect the Giral. But it also that early Hojin on the play is something that really you want to be able to answer. Get out
Yeah,
of
it's gonna
hand.
be interesting how we see John handle this next turn because they have the ability to ramp should they choose to. And that's about it, really. Unless they have a way to draw undepleted power next turn, they're only gonna have access to 2 power. I wouldn't be surprised to simply just play power, get in for 4, and then leave up the intrusion. Of note, though, intrusion will deal with the overgrowth, but it really can't stop equivocate. So,
Mhm. Right. You see
though,
that draw come down.
of course, Boxer also has to try to well, never mind. I was gonna say they have to kind of juggle whether it's a bubble shield or a intrusion, but now it's both.
Yeah, you have both. All right, Crest of Wisdom off the top for Boxer. Not terrible, but when you already have two more power and etchings and a petition in hand, you probably didn't need that crest here. It does help with your influence a little bit, but would have liked to get some interaction or another big threat there here. Gonna go ahead and attack. Ooh, nice. Wisdom of Elders, the hit off the draw trigger. Gotta love it.
You can't argue with that kind of favor. Let me see something. Sure. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
their only double time influence or requirement is for Master Conjurer, so
Hmm.
and that's not necessarily you're not too worried about drawing that early.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, the fact that it triggers, it gains primal influence on attack is really solid, both fueling itself as well as draw, but it's not a make or break card either.
Yep, for sure. Good point. All right, Merchant gonna go to the market again. Let's see if they go Sodi Spellshaper again this time, or if they take a different strategy. This game has started a little bit different. Boxer not quite as high out the gates here, but Sodi Spellshaper is always a pretty solid card.
Yeah, I think either Spell Shaper or Mirror Image are both fine here. I could see making another draw, just seeing the value that Boxer has gotten off of that card.
Tough decision here for Boxer. Spending some time. Reminder their options are Permafrost, Lightning Storm, Mirror Image, Sodi Spellshaper, and Helio. And they're gonna go ahead and get Lightning Storm. Johnkkez with the proactive bubble shield here. Give both their unit and themselves Aegis and get a power and another bubble shield off the top. Nice. Didn't even have to throw an away for that.
Nothing but value there.
Start off with a Rhyme Crime Smuggler here. Going to get Bring to Justice this time.
Yep. Seems solid. They have the snowball to pop Aegis if they need to.
You're just going to take
Th-
out that draw ascending. Just get
Yep.
that out of here.
So that makes me feel like they are not worried about the potential Sodi Spell Shaper from the market there. Because I feel if they were, they would have just held it with the snowball. So solid read from John thus far.
You have the intrusion and the other bubble shield to protect them. Boxer with another Wisdom of the Elders off the top. So now Boxer has two copies of Wisdom of the Elders, Lightning Storm, Pause for Reflection, seeing another Wisdom of the Elders, and they're going to put that one to the bottom. I think two is enough in hand for that. Alexandros Gray, thank you so much for the follow. Much appreciated. Welcome to the tournament. Boxer's just going to pass it back here. He's going to trigger the Hojin because it's going to attacks here. Okay, going to go ahead and accept that trade. Say that's fine, have some protection, but we're just going to go ahead and protect that. Here we go. No one to hold him. Is this going to go get a Kroll for Johnkkez?
Taking a second. They're thinking about it. I mean, they do have access. They could cash in that snowball for Palace. Then they're 1 point away from Palace. They already have a unit with Aegis in play. Seems like a solid grab.
Seems like a really nice turn for John.
Oh, I
So
mean,
we'll
shoot,
just
yeah, I guess they never mind. They just cash in the crawl. My mistake. That's right.
got to trade off units, and then because of the onslaught, actually getting getting the Aegis too. So trade with your unit, get my Rhyme Climb Smuggler back, get a new Aegis on it, and go get the Palace out of the market. Huge turn there for John.
Yeah, very solid turn. If John can draw undepleted power this turn, play Palace, that's going to put him way ahead. And they have two cards that allow them to defend pretty well with both Intrusion and Bubble Shield. So let's find out. This is going to be a big draw for John next turn.
Nice draws off of that Wisdom for Boxer. We've got Accelerated Evolution, which obviously echoed into Wump and Mizo into Master Conjurer. So there was the action that Boxer was looking for in the early game. Well, he's got it now. The question is, can Boxer stabilize, keep Johnkkez from snowballing too much in the the figurative term, not in the literal card turn. But then get out their Wump and Mizo and Master Conjurer and let them stick. That's going to be the challenge here.
Yeah, and we're seeing like we talk about some hitting your power is so important in these matchups because having access to play everything that you draw and the first person to start being able to do two things per turn, it's such an overwhelming.
Oh, I like
Once
this.
again, ooh, okay, okay, there we go, there we go. And Boxer
Two,
just
yeah, two 1-cost spells. So you're gonna have the etchings to be able to get the etchings to be able to get the power to be able to play Master Conjurer and then pause for reflection, getting you a 4/4 that turn. Nice little sequence there for Boxer.
oh that undepleted power being one turn off, which is unfortunate because that is going to put John a little behind here. It's unfortunate as well. Oh wait, oh it's going to at least give him nice. Okay,
That intrusion actually, and with the snowball,
no ball.
be able to
Yeah,
take care of that 4/4. So John's going to stay ahead here, and that's what this Kira deck wants to do. They want to get on early, they want to disrupt your removal, and then they want to just keep snowballing the game and keep putting more and more threats and more protection and drawing more cards. They do have the Palace next turn, so it's going to take Boxer here, but we do know that Boxer has that Lightning Storm. They use that here, hoping that Johnkkez is out of disruption.
We hunt as a pack. We hunt as
so
a
do you
pack.
keep the Hojin alive, or do you, and that way you can potentially use another know when to hold them to get your other crawl to get your
Mm,
smuggler back, or do you just save the smuggler because it's the bigger unit?
they're actually just going to let both go. They're going to keep that bubble shield. Hey, Popper Capricorn, thank you so much for the sub. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much for supporting the tournaments and for subbing to the channel. Huge thank you to you so much for that.
Interesting call on the bubble shield there. I mean, I understand they wanted to give it Aegis, but with a Wumpa Mizo in play,
And that's going to, I believe that's got to trigger next turn, right? There's been so many snowballs this
yeah.
one, one, two, three. Yeah, yeah. So that also, this Wump will be active on Boxer's turn here.
I mean, maybe it's one of those things that I'm not sure.
I'm going to put Boxer down to 8.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean that.
in Aegis Endurance unit's pretty good, but
Yeah, not against Equivocate, sadly.
not against
Let's see.
Equivocate, not against so many snowballs that you have access to.
So, ooh, so they're not even worried about that.
Vicious Overgrowth is just going to kill that Palace and get you a 4/4 out of the deal. That's pretty
Okay.
nice. That's a way to
Yeah.
stabilize. Get rid of your site and get a 4/4 the deal while flipping my Wump.
Yep. That's really solid there. So that makes it to where John doesn't even have a good attack.
No, and remember that Boxer still has the 2 copies of Accelerated Evolution in hand, so it can actually make the Wump. Also, I mean, you don't even need to necessarily because you have the 2 4/4s, but wanted to, you can also make the Wump a big flying beater as well. I can actually get the Wump can get through if you do it twice.
Yep.
You might want to
Boxer's
hold those
aware.
to trigger Conjure again next turn. It's tough.
And they grabbed the lightning strike out of the market. So what else is in there? And I'm sorry.
They've got 2 copies of Acceleration, a Wisdom, and a Jotun Hurl.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to use 1 copy here to make Wump a 7/7.
I think this is a not too bad of attack, honestly, because like I mean, John can just take it because that's his only threat.
Yep.
If John loses that denouncer, like they're losing so much pressure on this board.
True.
And then Boxer still is gonna have 8/8 worth of stats flying to be able to attack with, plus the 1/5 on the ground if they choose to.
Here comes the second Valkyrie.
So this is
Lost the one
probably
with
grab
Endurance.
the pristine light.
Yep, Pristine
Yep.
Light. That's pretty good on the board.
Yeah. And then next turn they could potentially just yeah, they'll have to attack with their 7/7.
Fox is going to pop the Aegis with the first snowball and then follow with Wisdom. And here comes another 4/4. Thank you so much, H and Doin, for the follow. How you doing? Appreciate you being here today. Boxer attacking with that Wump. Yeah, this Pristine Light's going to take care of a lot of units. My fear, though, is that Johnkkez doesn't really have a lot going on, and the Boxer still has a ton left in hand. I mean, they've got Dazzle now, which can even counter that. They've got Equivocate, they've got a Giral, so Boxer's been able to just get so much value. And the key thing with these 4/4s, Boxer's board, remember, the 3 4/4s, they didn't come from any spells. They came from just Master Conjurer, so they didn't actually use any cards, really, to get those 4/4s. They were essentially free. John here is going to attack, line up this Pristine Light, but Boxer has the Dazzle in hand for it.
Yeah, and even if the Pristine Light did resolve, it's not going to kill the Conjurer, and the Conjurer, like you mentioned, Boxer still has 5 cards in hand. They'll be able to rebuild this 4/4 army fairly quickly. Let's see. So Pristine Light's going to happen. It's going to get countered. Let's see if they know when to hold them to get back. Well, they'd be short of getting their Smuggler back. They're going to do it anyways.
There's an option to levitate. Oh, your units. You can't even levitate because it has to be your unit. I was going to say to levitate.
Yeah, I believe they changed that. I believe it used to be any unit.
I was going to say, I thought it did. I thought you used to be able to do that, but instead, gonna know when to hold them for Krull to get a Hojin back. This is a lot of damage coming from Boxer, even without that Hojin there.
Yeah. They're going to have to levitate before blocks, which gives Boxer a window. Because as soon as Wimp and Mizo attacks, they'll snowball the ping Hojin.
Here comes the Giral with 8 influence. Gonna deal 2 to the face. But this might just be lethal this turn? I think it is.
All right, so we'll have to see the levitate here. And then I can't imagine them drawing anything with 1 power that's going to make a difference here. I mean, Intrusion will let them block and not lose. Oh, yeah, I guess they're going to gain life.
Boxer has Equivocate in hand anyway, so
yeah.
Do it now before you even draw the card. It's going to deal 2 to the face and get rid of that unit, and that's going to be lethal.
Yep. Well played.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Oh, wow.
Hold on, wait, game not over. Hold on. Still might be, but that's the nice...
Yeah.
Nice Destiny. That's one of the best Destinies I've ever seen there.
Yeah, holy cow.
But it's still going to be lethal. Going to put him down to 1, and then Primal Etchings off the Giral. So, little surprise there. Johnkkez had a heartbeat there, but it's still going to be enough. And Boxer is going to go ahead and take that one 2-0. So